Well, hello everyone, and welcome to an extra special episode of my ASTRO President Spotlight series. I'm Neha Vapiwala, and I am joined today by a man who needs no introduction. It's the Mark Cuban, businessman, thought leader, influencer, disruptor, all the things. And on behalf of ASTRO, welcome, Mark, and thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Thanks for having me on, Neha.
Of course. So on surface and on paper, you and I have extremely different backgrounds and experiences, but you know, at least one thing we share in common. We both have two daughters and a son in that
Uh-huh.
order. Uh,
Uh-huh.
so I just have to ask, what's scarier, swimming with sharks, battling the Goliath that is pharmacy benefit managers and the industrial complex, or raising three teens in the social media era?
Oh, three teens. Far harder than anything, particularly when they're as strong-willed and strong-minded as my kids are. And most teenagers, well, now my oldest is 22, all of them are, right? So
Yeah,
it's a constant battle, trying to keep up with everything, trying to stay ahead of them. And you know it very well, right? It's just never ending.
absolutely. We're in the thick of it now. So, but
How
you
old are your
wouldn't have it.
kids?
They are currently 16, 14, the two girls, and then my son is 12. So,
So the son is great. The daughters are like,
yep. I wasn't going to say it, but it has not gone unnoticed that we are scared of them at times.
Yeah, my
I
oldest
realize.
particularly knows that. Yeah, she takes advantage of it.
Yeah, yeah. I can't believe I'm admitting this on air, but there it is. It's out there now. But can't you? I mean, there's nothing more humbling than kids,
Oh,
right?
are you kidding me? Like
Yeah,
the recurring theme from my family is, Dad, everybody else kisses your ass. That's not going to happen here.
that's right. It's the last place you'll get that is home. So,
Yes, yes.
yeah. But you know what? This is what keeps it real. It keeps us
Yeah, oh,
all
for
on our
sure.
toes.
For they don't care, right? They don't care anything I've
No,
done. Nor should they, right? It's about what
nor
they're going
should
to
they.
do.
That's
Yeah.
so exactly right. So, and it's this constant pipeline of new and fresh trainees in medicine, honestly, that also keeps medicine fresh. It keeps
Yep.
science evolving, right? Is there's always someone, a medical student, an intern asking you, well, why do you do things this way? That doesn't make any sense. Um,
Good.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what you want, right? The
exactly
different
what we want.
generations have different perspectives, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, but I wonder if you know, Mark, less than one third of doctors, current doctors under the age of 50, so I'm in that group, less than a third of us would recommend medicine as a career to our own children.
Yeah, I don't
And,
blame you. I don't
y-
blame you. No one wants a career where you're going to be saddled with debt and
right?
everybody's dependent on you, and you have no life
Yeah,
because everybody's so dependent on you. And you grew up thinking you were going to make enough money to take off on Wednesdays and go golfing. That whole thing disappeared out from underneath you.
I know. And you're exactly right. I mentioned under 50, right? Because that older generation, they had a different experience with medicine. So they're a little more
Yeah.
favorable. But there's so many factors. You alluded to some of them. We can't cover them all today. Educational debt, continually declining reimbursements, at least in the US, with congressional actions,
Hmm.
completely out of step with 40% inflation over the past 20 years. You get your burnout, you get your death by a
Hmm.
thousand administrative paper cuts.
Yep.
But as a society, what level of concern should we have? I mean, the American Association of Medical Colleges says by 2036, which not that far away, that we will have in the US a shortage of up to 86,000 physicians. And,
I mean, it's
the
bad
math
on
doesn't
surface.
math. Yeah,
Yeah, the math doesn't math, but the bigger issue, our birth rate continues to decline. So who knows where those lines cross over, right? But in
fair.
any event, the bigger structural question is, why are doctors being abused the way they're being abused? Why are they not respected? Why are you underpaid, particularly independent physicians?
Yeah.
Why is there not a path so that you can enjoy your profession? And obviously you're going to get satisfaction from helping patients. That's a
Hmm.
given, but the minute that patient walks out the door, then you have to deal with everything else, which could be 50% or more of your time. And
Yeah,
everybody's on the other side of the ledger from you. And it's politics, right? You're neither Democrat or Republican. You're trying to be independent and all the other parties hate you. And
that's
so, how do you adapt to that? Is something I think about a lot. It's something that's a real structural issue.
yeah.
And, to me, it goes to the heart of the fact that the economics of healthcare are controlled by just a few conglomerates that are so vertically integrated, they get to set the rules.
Yeah.
And it should not be that way.
You absolutely hit on so many of the fundamental points. And like you said, structurally, where does one even begin to fix that? So if there's one theme that sort of runs through or is woven through a lot of these grievances, it's this idea of value, or better said, feeling and being undervalued. It's actually the theme of our Astro annual meeting in Boston. I know I extended you an invite, and sadly you can't make it, but it really does come down to, how does one communicate that value? And so I'm curious, how does Mark Cuban, the entrepreneur, define value in the context of healthcare delivery? And is that a different definition than Mark Cuban, the healthcare consumer?
So first you have to look at the industry itself and who has leverage. And the challenge is doctors went from always having the leverage because you were the final determinants of how to help a patient, to never having the leverage because there's always a pre-authorization and a great likelihood of denial. And because of that, you have to go through all those steps from, appealing to peer-to-peers with a 97-year-old veterinarian based in Venezuela who you can't won't even give you his name or their qualifications. And it's, when you have all those contact points other than the patient, it's impossible to define your value. You never have to struggle with or rarely have to struggle with defining the value to your patients, other than the fact you have to rush, right? It's
Yeah,
not that they don't appreciate you, they do. It's not that they don't recognize, particularly in, oncology, that, they only go as far as you can help them. But
yeah,
then they're just as frustrated with the structure as well, because they don't have any leverage points either, right?
yeah,
They have to deal with the economics in complete uncertainty, just like your economics are complete uncertainty. And when you have both of those scenarios, then you have to ask who has the leverage and how do you disintermediate their leverage. And when you look at it, you've got, I don't want to name names, but everybody knows who the
right,
big insurance conglomerates are, with thousands of subsidiaries, who define the plans, who put, who own companies that do the pre-auth and then in turn do the denials, that underpay, late pay, clawback, that don't pay even the contracted rate to, radiologists or any, doctor. And
hmm,
then you have to fight the lack of leverage that you have economically. And that leads you, if you were independent, to selling your practice or becoming part of a practice where you're an employee without a whole lot of leverage, with quotas, like you were selling cars from an auto lot,
yeah,
where you just have to hit your numbers. And, that's the direct conflict, and that obviously leads to burnout. And
yeah.
so the only path is to disengage.
You famously said that one of the reasons you became so attracted to healthcare is because it's literally so screwed up, right? And
Yeah. I
co-
didn't use the word screwed up though. Yeah.
okay, well, those are my words then. And I will say cost plus drugs, it is a remarkable example of how you're looking to unscrew it. Again, in my
Right.
words, through transparency. But radiation therapy is one of the three main pillars of cancer treatment. We are remarkably adept in science and technology. We have a solid clinical evidence base. We're remarkably cost effective. I'll just give you one example.
Hmm.
Medicare Part B spends
Hmm.
more money on one chemotherapy drug. Keytruda is the brand
Uh-huh.
name. It's not generic yet, so
Right.
pembrolizumab. One drug than all of radiation oncology services, even
Oh, I
though,
believe it. Yeah.
yeah, we serve 5 times as many beneficiaries. So again, we're struggling with adoption, reimbursement, public awareness.
So your
Yeah,
mistake is you can't compare the two. It's still apples and oranges,
yeah,
right? Because you can go through the whole R&D thing with the pharma companies, right? And the
yeah.
percentage that don't make it and they have to compensate for that, right? You
Hmm.
guys, it's completely different, right? Your value is your time and your knowledge. And it's really right now you don't have control of that valuation.
Yeah,
And it's because you're inside the system. Like with cost plus drugs, when you go to costplusdrugs.com and you come there, you see our actual cost and you see our markup is only 15%. And
yep,
because we're willing to only mark up 15%, we're cheaper than pretty much everybody on all but the lowest cost drugs. Any specialty generic, definitely cheaper. Any biosimilar, definitely cheaper because it's only a 15% markup.
right.
it, we made the choice. I made the choice to work outside the system. If I tried
Hmm.
to work inside the big PBMs, there'd be no way to define my value, right?
Right.
By being transparent, it's easy.